All right. Well, thank you so much. This topic is something we've been talking about for so many years, right? The problem of not getting enough network engineers to replace the current ones in the room. And a few years ago, well, I started thinking, what if we can change the narrative, right? Because when I was growing up, and I guess this is true for most of us in the room, when I grew up, my mother was set on me becoming a teacher, a doctor, a lawyer, the usual stuff. And it got me thinking, like, what if we can change that? What if we can inspire the new generation to start thinking, you know, when I grow up, I want to be a peering coordinator, a peering manager, a interconnection specialist, a data center interconnection specialist, cloud interconnection engineer, edge strategy manager, network engineer, of course, and beyond. There's so many more roles that exist in this niche little industry, but is not well known. So it got me thinking, what can we do? Now, first of all, there needs to be a problem to get a solution. And Houston, we do have a problem. Number one is the talent shortage. We have been experiencing this across the industry globally, where we are struggling to find the right talent to fill the gap within our companies. They either lack the skill or understanding of the interconnection and peering space. Secondly, retirement and knowledge drain. So again, we've been talking about this since 2010, where we've been talking about the current network engineers having to step down, retire soon, and we are now getting to that time that they are actually doing this, but we are still not filling the gap, which is a big concern. Thirdly, scattered learning resources. This has been something I noticed in my journey in the interconnection and peering industry, is that there's a lot of content that exists. There's a lot of education that do exist, you know, from the likes of iSoc, Afrinic, RIPE. There's many other platforms that exist. The problem we have is that it's all scattered. So if you're new in the industry, how do you know where to start? How do you even know what to Google to find the right content that you need to understand the platform or the industry? So it's there, but it's not easy to find. And fourth, time constraints. And I think to most this resonates because senior network engineers are not finding the time to really mentor the younger generation coming in. They are swamped with meetings and keeping the networks up and running. So we're really facing a challenge where there's not enough time to really educate the younger generation coming in. And as I mentioned, this is true to most. So I've been thinking, okay, we've been trying to educate the people that are either in university, leaving university, or stepping into the job market. Some of them are actually changing industries. That's great. But how do we speak to even younger people about this? How do we get the kids interested in what we do? Because in my opinion, what has happened over the years is that the interest has died down because, like myself, when I started to understand what's going on in the world, the internet just existed, right? Way back in the day, most of the engineers in the room, they were part of the story creating the internet, and that was fun, right? They were actually playing around to get things working, to see and building what we have today. And unfortunately, for most of us, my age and younger, the internet is just there. It's just a commodity, right? So where's the excitement in that? I rather become a software developer, an AI something engineer, whatever it may be, because it sounds exciting, not understanding that there's a level beneath that that's actually critical for me to actually do that exciting job. But the thing is, what we do on a network level is just as exciting. I find it very interesting. And that's why I like to speak about this, to get people interested in what we do and show them that there's another path if you want to go into tech. So now I was thinking, okay, kids find us very boring. So when you talk about what you do at work, I'm sure your kids are like, they don't really care. So what if we can find a fun way to show them what we do? So I started investigating this back in 2023, and I was like, surely there's something online that exists. And it was interesting what I found because, again, coming to getting something, I found the idea of a simulation interesting. What if we can simulate a day-to-day of a network engineer, right? But in a gaming format. Because that's one way to get kids interested and teaching them without them noticing that they are being taught. And you get some weird simulation games. And just to show a few, you have some of these. And I guess the one that is most popular is the lawn mowing simulator. Guys, my husband has learned so much about cutting grass. It's not even funny. But again, this is a fun way of teaching yourself about the ins and outs, I guess, of lawn mowing, or at least the basics, right? So then I was like, do we have something like this? Does something like this exist for network engineering? Because surely we're living in 2023. There should be something. And what I found was Aspire, Cisco Aspire, which I'm sure most of you have seen back in the day. It was discontinued in 2013. It was about a year it was active. And the idea around it was really to help people prepare for their CCNA, CCIE. So it was a gaming concept teaching you about the ins and outs to prepare you for your exam. So I was like, okay, so someone had this idea a few years ago, but it was discontinued. So is there something else? I then found ISP the game, which, as you can see, is the technology of when the internet started. So that's quite fun. It's a browser game, and this was actually developed by it was developed in a competition in 2018, and it's actually quite fun to play. It's very simple, but again, it's showing you the basics of how to create a network. From there, I then found one that really piqued my interest because I'm like, okay, now we're getting to the technology of today. And this is the network engineering simulator. So yes, there is actually a game that exists. And in this game, you play as a network engineer. You start off where you have to deploy your network in cabinets, do the cabling, do soft configuration to actually get the network up and running. And some of it, I find, is just fun little, I would call it Easter eggs, where if the network does not work, you can actually throw a wrench at the cabinet. You can throw chairs if you'd like. You can just rage on it. But the fundamental of it is really to teach you how a network comes together and what needs to be done to actually do this. And I find it so interesting how they came about this, this concept. So this was back in 2023, and I thought it was the best thing ever. And at that time, those were the only 3 gamified ways you can learn about network engineering. So this year, I thought, let me start looking into it again. And I actually found more. So this topic is becoming more relevant because I have found what is called service IT. You can do it. And this game is basically you setting up an ISP, so simulating running a full-service IT firm, blending business management with hands-on technical challenges like fixing hardwares, hacking networks, writing code, and recovering data. So this is something new. The full release was in September 2025, so just last year. So as we can see, there are other people in the industry having the same idea as us, saying that we need to start talking to the younger generation to find the interest in what we do and a fun way for them to understand how it all fits together. How does the internet actually work? Then I thought I saw it all. Now you have the data center simulator. And this one, you are again, an engineer in a data center, and you focus solely on the interconnection and deployments within a data center. So it's more focused if you are a technician within a data center and you have to keep the cabinets up and running. It's data center operations, blending construction, automation, resource management, and growth in this game. So this is just showing you how to actually operate a data center by itself. From here, I also found ISP Tycoon. So ISP is really becoming a big topic. So there's 2 games that focus on ISP. And again, the focus of this game is showing you or giving you the opportunity to build your own ISP and understand the mechanics behind it. So how to actually start up the network, how to connect it. At some point, you need to strategically place your infrastructure, optimize your coverage and costs, and innovating technologies and balancing economics to connect regions. So this is a bit more in depth to show you how ISPs build out their networks in a fun way. Then we have Packets Please. And this is also quite a fun game. It was released back in 2018. This is also a free browser-based game simulating ISP data management in a dystopian setting without net neutrality. So it's kind of the same concept to show people how the flow of packets work and how it all comes together. How does the internet actually get to your house is basically what it does. And I thought, well, this is fantastic. But what else can we do? It's great that we have this informal way of teaching people about what network engineering is about, how the internet works, and what it's like to run an ISP, right? But I was still stuck on the idea of there's still people in the industry already not finding the right path or not knowing how to advance or really get the knowledge that they need to step up in their roles, right? And the scatteredness of the information, because there's some good online learning certificates that you can do, but if you are not in the know-how, you don't know where to find it. So that's a problem. So in my new role, I happened to stumble upon is we've been thinking about this, and we think we might have something that could be interesting, which is the Interconnection Academy. And what this aims to do is try answer that exactly. The vision of this is to empower interconnection specialists worldwide by building a collaborative learning galaxy. Now, the idea of this is just bringing all the knowledge together, creating a knowledge hub to make it easier for new entrants to find the right education that they need to step into their role or advance, right? Now, I won't spend too much time on this. I'm not a salesperson, but I just wanted to share this idea with you that we need to start making it simpler for people to enter the industry. Because if you don't know how or where to find the information, you really start to get stuck. So just a little bit about the academy. It's not, what we are doing as DKIX is we are trying to solve the issue of we have many technical modules that exist, which is fantastic. You know, your BGP, your networking basics, your IPv6 certification, all of that exists, which is fantastic. We're trying to bring it into the hub where it's easier for people to find these tracks. So we point them to the right direction. So as you can see, we do have partnerships, and what we mean by this is we point people to the right place. So depending on what you want to see, you can go there. Secondly, we are addressing the issue of interconnection and peering education, which is not informal modules or certification. So things that you are supposed to know or assumed to know, but it's nowhere formally documented. It's not something you can sign up for and learn. So we want to capture that education and put it in this knowledge hub to make it easier for people to understand the how and why of interconnection and peering. And we're not alone in this. So we are working with industry experts before they retire to document this knowledge and make it easier and accessible to everyone. So the Academy is online, it's on demand, anyone can register, it's free to sign up, and this is just our way to try and fill the gap, I would say, in our talent shortage in the industry. So with that, one small step together, one giant leap to close the talent black hole. That is what we are trying to achieve. And that is me. Thank you so much.
As we have some time, do we have any questions for Yolandi?
Brian Longwe here from Malawi. I run a small ISP called CTN. I also am one of the founders and operate a small internet exchange point. But I've been building infrastructure around the continent for, 30 years? 30 years plus. This is very interesting. At the beginning of this, I sort of said, I'm really looking forward, but you've kind of like taken me in a different direction. Thank you very much for the presentation. I really like the initiative, and I would like to sort of dive deeper, find out more about the Interconnection Academy. I saw all these little squishy things saying Interconnection Academy yesterday, and I was wondering, what is this, you know? So now I can see what it is, and I'll definitely look forward to seeing if I can contribute anything from my past experience. But I think it would be good if a way was figured in which to be able to take this knowledge that's being captured in this platform and connect it to academia, yes. Especially our local universities, right, in Africa. Our last born, I didn't have him alone, obviously, just started university in November in Malaysia. He, out of our 3 kids, he's the only one who decided to go tech. And he's doing computer science in a university in Malaysia, and 3 months in, he sends me a WhatsApp message and says, "Hey, Dad, I need you to help me with an assignment." And I'm like, okay, yeah. So what is this? What's the issue? And he follows up and says, "I have a VLAN assignment, and I can't get it to ping from here to here. And I can't seem to figure it out." So I told him, okay, how can I help? So he sent me a packet tracer, Cisco packet tracer topology. And he says, take a look at this, here and here and here, where I'm stuck. And I opened it up, and I was like, wow, this is a complex topology, right? And he's having to figure out how to get these hosts at this bottom end to ping the gateway and the internet, and he has to solve all these configs at multiple levels of routers with trunks and, all this layer 2 stuff. And I was like, this guy is 3 months into his course, and he's already solving these kind of issues. So I took a look at it, and, I didn't fix the problem for him. I just told him, I think I see a couple of things you've missed. You've not put some ports in trunk mode that should be in trunk mode, and you've not put some ports in access mode that should be in access mode. And he figured it out by himself. It took him 3 more days. And he was like so excited to solve it. And he was like the first one in his class to do it. But I'm just sharing that story as an example of, I was like blown away that this school in Malaysia is teaching first years in the first couple of weeks this level of complexity in networking, right? How long is it for our universities before they even start touching a router, for that matter, So I think we have a big disconnect between academia and industry, and this might be a way to solve that. Thank you.
So to answer on that, that's exactly one of the issues we also identified, to say that what's being taught at university and what's actually being done in the industry does not always connect. And one of the things we are actively working on is actually reaching out to these universities in the different regions and countries to see if there's a way for us to work together to either get recognized in a sense of, if your students complete the modules that is linked to the Interconnection Academy ecosystem, that they either get credits, or perhaps if they want to integrate this into the actual teaching of that semester or whatever it may be. So of course, this will take some time because it's universities, but I agree with you, there's a big disconnect between the two, and it's not just in Africa. I can tell you from a global standpoint, there's many of them that do exist, and they are very willing, especially the lecturers, they are very willing to do this. It's just the formalities behind it, but definitely that's something we'd like to achieve. It's a big dream, but hopefully one day I can give you some feedback on that.
Any other questions or comments? We still have a bit of time, so... No?
No.
Oh, well, then thank you very much, Yolandi. So you also get a speaker gift.
Oh, thank you so much.